All right, welcome. Today we're going on a pretty incredible journey. We're going to unlock the story of your energy. Literally, how your body turns the food you eat into the fuel that powers everything you do, think, and feel.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about it? How does that sandwich you had for lunch actually power your brain through an afternoon meeting, or your legs on an evening run? Well, that's exactly the mystery we're solving today as we follow a meal from plate to pure power.
So every great journey has a starting point, and ours begins with the raw materials. I want you to think of your body as this amazing, highly efficient factory. And the food you eat? That's the daily delivery of all the supplies you need to keep production humming.
The biggest part of that delivery comes in the form of macronutrients. These are the main characters in our story, the big three: carbohydrates, lipids, which, we all just call fats, and proteins. Your body needs a lot of these because they're the ones that actually provide the energy.
First up, we've got carbohydrates. Think of these as your body's favorite quick-burn fuel. When you eat stuff like bread, pasta, or fruit, your body breaks those starches and sugars down into glucose. And glucose? That's the #1 most common fuel for pretty much every cell you have.
Next up, lipids, or fats. Now, what's so cool about fats is that they're your body's long-term energy reserve. They pack a serious punch. We're talking more than double the energy of carbs. So when you've got extra fuel, your body cleverly stores it away as fat, for a rainy day.
And rounding out our big three, we have proteins. Now, proteins have a totally different primary job. Think of them as the essential building blocks of the factory itself. Their main gig is to build and repair everything, from your muscles to the tiny little enzymes that make all the chemical reactions happen. Your body only taps into protein for energy as an absolute last resort.
Okay, so we've got our raw materials. Now it's time to head down to the factory floor. We're going to follow a single molecule of glucose as it gets transformed into the actual energy currency your cells use, a little molecule called ATP.
And this whole thing isn't chaos, not at all. It's a remarkably organized three-step assembly line. First, there is glycolysis. That's just splitting the sugar. Then we have the citric acid cycle, which is all about harvesting high-energy particles. And finally, the electron transport chain. And trust me, that's where the big payoff is.
And this right here, this is our map of the factory floor. We're looking deep inside a single cell. That first step, glycolysis, happens out in the main jelly-like fluid called the cytosol. But then, for the main event, the action moves inside these little powerhouses, the mitochondria.
So, step 1, glycolysis. Out here in the cytosol, one glucose molecule gets neatly split in half. What's key here is that this step doesn't need any oxygen. It gives you a small but really fast burst of energy, a net gain of 2 ATP molecules. Okay, now those two smaller pieces move into the mitochondrion for step 2, the citric acid cycle. You can picture this as a spinning wheel of reactions that just strips out high-energy electrons. It also makes a little more energy, 2 more ATP, but its most critical job is loading up those electrons for the final stage.
And now for the grand finale, the electron transport chain. This is the big kahuna. Those high-energy electrons get passed down a chain of proteins, and this process absolutely needs the oxygen you're breathing. This is why we breathe. The result? A massive release of energy, creating about 28 ATP molecules. This one step is where almost all of your usable energy comes from.
So let's just quickly put these two side by side. You've got aerobic respiration, the one that uses oxygen, which is the clear powerhouse, giving you that huge energy yield. Then you've got anaerobic respiration, which is really for emergencies. It's that quick, low-yield burst you get when you're sprinting and can't get enough oxygen. It's a great short-term boost, but not a sustainable plan.
But here's the thing, the macronutrients can't do it all by themselves. The factory needs a whole crew of specialized workers and tools to run smoothly. So let's meet the unsung heroes of our story, vitamins and minerals. Vitamins and minerals are what we call micronutrients. They don't actually give you any energy on their own. Instead, think of them as the specialized tools of the factory, the wrenches, the oils, the quality control managers. They are absolutely essential for helping all those energy-extracting reactions happen in the first place. Now, your body doesn't handle all vitamins the same way. They basically fall into 2 groups. You've got your fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, which can be stored in your body's tissues for later. But then you have the water-soluble ones, like B vitamins and vitamin C. Your body doesn't store these. Whatever you don't use gets flushed out. That means you need to make sure you're getting them pretty regularly. And hey, here's a great little trick to remember the fat-soluble vitamins and what they do. Just remember this sentence:
all dogs eat kale. Vitamin A is for vision, D is for bones, E is a protective antioxidant, and K is absolutely crucial for blood clotting. See? Simple.
So, we've seen how the factory works. But who decides when it's time to order more raw materials? Who's actually in control of your hunger? Well, it's not just your stomach grumbling. It's a whole complex system run by hormones.
And this right here shows that conversation perfectly. Your appetite is really this constant back and forth between your stomach, your fat cells, and the main control center in your brain. It's this delicate dance of chemical signals telling you when to eat and when to stop.
So let's meet the two main players in this conversation. First, you've got ghrelin. Ghrelin is the go signal. It's sent out by your stomach when it's empty, and it shouts up to your brain, hey, I'm hungry, time to eat. Then on the other side, you have leptin. That's the stop signal. It's released by your fat cells, and it tells your brain, okay, we're good. We've got plenty of energy in storage. You can stop eating now. All right, let's zoom all the way back out and just take a look at the big picture. We've just been on this incredible journey from a simple meal on a plate all the way down to a single powerful molecule of ATP energy.
So what are the most important things to remember from all this? First, food is a mix of energy-giving macronutrients and those essential helper micronutrients. Second, your cells run a super efficient three-step assembly line to make energy. Third, oxygen is the absolute key to getting the most bang for your buck from your food. And finally, your hunger is actually controlled by this smart conversation between your hormones, not just by an empty stomach.
You know, we've just peeked inside one of the most sophisticated factories in the entire universe, your very own body. So the question I'll leave you with is this. Now that you know how the factory works, what are you going to choose to fuel it with?